Most celebrity weddings come with magazine covers, paparazzi photos, and months of public hype. This one came with a fake movie screening invitation. Bombi 50 guests arrived expecting pop and a quiet night celebrating JWoww Farley's latest project. Instead, they found themselves sitting in the middle of one of reality television's biggest surprises of the year. Minutes later, the lights changed, the music started, and the truth finally hit everyone in the room. This wasn't a movie premiere, it was a wedding. After years of headlines, public breakups, relationship drama, and countless fans questioning whether this romance would ever survive, JWoww had somehow pulled off the impossible, a completely secret fairy tale wedding hidden in plain sight. But the real surprise wasn't that she got married. It was the journey that led here. Because just a few years earlier, many viewers were convinced this relationship was already over before it had truly begun. So how did one of reality TV's most controversial couples go from public backlash and breakup rumors to saying "I do" in front of shocked family and friends? The answer is far more surprising than anyone expected. For years, viewers knew JWoww as one of the toughest personalities on reality television. Whether it was arguments inside the Jersey Shore house or standing up for her friends, she built a reputation for never backing down. But away from the cameras, her life was becoming far more complicated. By 2018, her marriage to Roger Matthews was coming to an end. And suddenly, the woman who always seemed in control found herself navigating one of the most difficult periods of her personal life. The split quickly became public, and as headlines spread across entertainment news sites, fans watched every development unfold in real time. For many viewers, this didn't feel like the ending of a celebrity marriage. It felt like the end of an entire chapter of JWoww's life. She was now balancing life as a mother of 2 young children while trying to rebuild stability away from the constant noise that surrounded her public image. Few people were talking about new relationships. Most fans assumed romance would be the last thing on her mind, and honestly, nobody would have blamed her for stepping away from the spotlight for a while. But life had other plans, because while fans were still processing the end of one relationship, someone unexpected was quietly about to enter the picture, and the internet would have plenty to say about it. The man who would eventually become JWoww's husband didn't arrive with reality, TV fame, or Hollywood connections. He arrived with a nickname. Almost overnight, Jersey Shore fans started referring to Zack Carpinello simply as 24, a reference to his age when he first entered Jenny's life. And while the nickname stuck, so did the questions that came with it. But the nearly 10-year age difference immediately became a major talking point. Some fans wondered whether the relationship would last. Others assumed it was simply a rebound after a difficult divorce. And on social media, opinions were everywhere. But despite the noise, the two appeared determined to move forward at their own pace. What many people didn't know was that Zack wasn't a complete stranger to Jenny's world. Through family connections and mutual circles, he had already been around long before the public knew his name. That familiarity made introducing him into her personal life feel much less sudden than many viewers believed. More importantly, he quickly developed a bond with the people who mattered most to Jenny, her children. According to Jenny, her daughter already recognized him as someone fun, familiar, and trustworthy long before the relationship became serious. Family outings, trips to theme park, and time spent together slowly helped build a foundation away from television cameras and tabloid headlines. For a while, it looked like the couple might prove everyone wrong. But reality television has a way of turning private relationships into public conversations. And before long, one moment would put the entire relationship under a microscope. A moment that left fans wondering whether this love story had already reached its ending. Then came the moment that changed everything. During a season of Jersey Shore, an uncomfortable incident involving Zack and another cast member quickly became one of the most talked about storylines among fans. The footage sparked heated debates online almost immediately. Some viewers defended him. Others believed the relationship was finished. Amdia for Jenny. The situation unfolded in front of millions of viewers, turning what might have been a private issue into a public spectacle almost overnight. And suddenly, the couple that had already faced questions about their future was dealing with an entirely new level of scrutiny. And headlines exploded. Social media picked sides, and many fans became convinced there was no coming back. Blown for a brief period, it even appeared those predictions might be right. The relationship hit a major setback, and for the first time since Zack entered the picture, genuinely uncertain. In the world of celebrity relationships, moments like these often become the beginning of the end. Fan viewers had seen this story before: public controversy, pressure from the internet, a breakup announcement shortly afterward. It was practically the celebrity relationship playbook, but this story didn't follow the script people expected. But instead of the couple chose to work through the fallout privately and away from much of the public attention. Not everyone agreed with the decision, not everyone understood it, but over time, something unexpected started happening. The headlines became quieter. The drama slowly faded. And little by little, the relationship that many people believed was over quietly began rebuilding itself. What happened next surprised even some of their biggest critics. Because against almost everyone's expectations, this wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning of a completely different chapter. Most celebrity couples spend years trying to convince the public their relationship is solid. Jenny and Zack took a different approach. They stopped trying to prove anything at all. Instead of responding to every headline or online debate, the couple quietly focused on building a life away from the constant commentary that had followed them from the beginning. And slowly, something interesting started to happen. The relationship that once generated criticism started generating fewer questions. Then public appearances became more frequent, family trips became normal, and Zack wasn't showing up as a temporary boyfriend anymore. He was becoming part of Jenny's everyday life. Perhaps the biggest sign of that change was the relationship he developed with her children. Plemdio for Jenny. That was never going to be optional. Anyone entering her life would also be entering the lives of the two people who mattered most to her. By all accounts, that transition happened naturally. Disney trips, family outings, birthdays, and holidays slowly replaced the drama that had once dominated the headlines. The public image of the relationship was changing, and so was the perception of Zack himself. Fans who once believed the relationship wouldn't survive 6 months were now watching year after year pass by. Then came another major turning point. In early 2021, Zack planned a moment that would completely change the direction of their story. High above New York City, with the skyline stretching behind them, he got down on one knee and asked the question that few people would have predicted back when the relationship first began. Jenny said yes. Suddenly, the couple that many believed would never make it to a second anniversary was planning a wedding. But if fans thought wedding bells would arrive quickly, they were about to be surprised once again, because the engagement would last far longer than almost anyone expected. And before the couple finally said "I do," years of questions, rumors, and speculation would begin to follow them. At first, fans expected the wedding to happen quickly. And after all, celebrity engagements often move fast, especially after a public proposal and years of dating. But months passed. Then years, and there was still no wedding date. Naturally, the internet started doing what it does best: speculating. Some fans wondered if the couple was simply too busy with work and family commitments. Others questioned whether wedding plans had quietly been pushed aside altogether. And online discussions began popping up everywhere, with viewers asking the same question: were they still planning to get married? And to be clear, there was never any public confirmation of problems between the couple during this period. Much of the conversation came from fan speculation rather than verified reports. Jenny and Zack appeared completely unbothered by the noise. Instead of rushing toward a massive televised event, or a celebrity-filled spectacle, they seemed focused on something much simpler, building their life together one step at a time. AMDA family vacations continued, public appearances continued, the engagement remained intact. And slowly, the long wait itself became part of their story. Ironically, the longer fans waited for wedding news, the less anyone expected it to happen in secret. Most people assumed there would be announcements, interviews, magazine exclusives, and social media countdowns. After all, this was JWoww, one of the biggest names ever to come out of reality television. There was no way she would disappear quietly and come back married, or so everyone thought, because while fans were busy waiting for invitations that would never come, Jenny and Zack were planning something nobody saw coming. And not a destination wedding, not a lavish celebrity event, not a television special. Instead, they were creating one of the most surprising celebrity wedding reveals in recent memory. And the guests wouldn't discover the truth until they were already sitting in their seats. What happened next felt less like a wedding announcement and more like the plot twist at the end of a movie. Blonde, which, as it turns out, was exactly the point, and looked completely normal. Band guests were told they were attending a private screening connected to Thai Nanny Cam Pleedy, a thriller project associated with Jenny. There was nothing unusual about that. Celebrity premieres happen all the time, and family members and close friends happily accepted what they believed was a simple evening celebration. No one suspected they were walking into a wedding. Then they arrived. Instead of a traditional red carpet event, they stepped into a setting inspired by old Hollywood elegance and a dark fairy tale atmosphere that felt closer to a movie set than a reception hall. Damned. At first, people were confused. Then the clues started appearing, the decorations felt too personal, the details felt too intentional. And slowly realization began spreading through the room. This wasn't a screening, this wasn't a premiere, this was a wedding. After months of planning in complete secrecy, Jenny and Zack had managed to keep one of the biggest moments of their lives hidden from almost everyone they knew. Even by celebrity standards, that's almost unheard of. Then came the ceremony itself. As guests watched in disbelief, Jenny walked down the aisle to Lana Del Rey's Young and Beautiful, adding another emotional layer to an already unforgettable moment. The choice wasn't random. The song was a tribute to one of her closest friends, Nicole "Snooki" Polizzi, who had used the same track during her own wedding celebrations years earlier. Suddenly, what began as a surprise reveal transformed into something much more personal. The guest list remained intentionally small. Around 50 of the people closest to the couple witnessed the moment firsthand, including several familiar faces from the Jersey Shore family who had watched pieces of this journey unfold from the very beginning. No giant celebrity spectacle, no hundreds of guests, no cameras documenting every second. Just family, friends, and a couple determined to celebrate on their own terms. For Jenny, that decision carried more meaning than most people realized, because this wedding wasn't about putting on a show. It was about closing one chapter and beginning another, and one final detail made that message impossible to miss. For many people watching from the outside, the wedding looked like the perfect ending to a celebrity love story. But for Jenny, it represented something much deeper than that. This wasn't simply about becoming a wife again. It was about everything that happened in the years leading up to that moment. The public heartbreak, the endless headlines, the criticism, the doubts, the moments when people questioned whether this relationship would survive at all. Standing beside Zack on their wedding day wasn't just the celebration of a romance. In many ways, it was proof of how much life can change in a few short years. Perhaps the most meaningful part of that transformation involved the two people who had been at the center of Jenny's world from the beginning, her children. Over time, Zack had become more than a partner. He had become part of the family's daily life, sharing birthdays, vacations, milestones, and ordinary moments that rarely make headlines but ultimately matter the most. For Jenny, creating stability and happiness for her family had always come before everything else. That priority shaped almost every decision surrounding the wedding itself. Instead of chasing headlines or hosting an event designed for social media clips, the couple focused on intimacy, family, and memories that would stay with them long after the decorations disappeared. It reflected that mindset. The modern fairy tale setting mixed elegance with a darker romantic style, creating something that felt uniquely theirs rather than something designed to meet celebrity expectations. You know? And maybe that's what makes this story so interesting. For years, JWoww built her reputation in front of cameras, inside crowded clubs, and in the middle of reality television chaos. Yet one of the biggest moments of her life happened quietly, privately, and almost entirely out of public view. The woman who spent years living in headlines somehow managed to create one of the entertainment world's best-kept secrets. And that may be the biggest plot twist of all. For more than a decade, fans watched JWoww become one of reality television's most recognizable faces. They saw the parties, the arguments, the unforgettable moments that turned Jersey Shore into a cultural phenomenon. They also witnessed something else. Because the woman who once lived her life in front of cameras eventually chose to protect the moments that mattered most behind closed doors. And maybe that's why this wedding feels different from so many celebrity stories. No magazine exclusives months in advance, just 50 guests, a movie screening that wasn't really a movie screening, and a surprise ending nobody saw coming. Even more surprising is how unlikely this outcome once seemed. Years ago, countless fans believed the relationship wouldn't survive its first major obstacle. Some thought the age gap would become an issue. Others believed the public scrutiny would simply become too much. Yet somehow, through all the noise, the headlines, and the opinions of millions of strangers, the couple quietly kept moving. And in the end, the relationship that many people doubted became the relationship nobody expected to outlast the criticism. Maybe that's the lesson hidden inside this entire story. And sometimes the strongest relationships aren't the ones that make the most noise. They're the ones being built when nobody is watching. So after everything they've been through, one question remains. Did JWoww and Zack just pull off one of reality television's greatest surprise endings? Or is the most interesting chapter of their story only just beginning? Let us know what you think in the comments below.